The 2004 Junior Cert Higher Level Question 3 on axonometric projection. The figure shows the axonometric axes required for the isometric projection of a table lamp. The side elevation and plan are shown in their required positions. And then getting into the question, draw the axonometric axes X, Y and Z is the first part. Draw the plan orientated at 45 degrees as shown here. Draw the side elevation orientated at 15 degrees off the vertical as shown, and then draw the complete axonometric projection of the table lamp. Now, what's to understand about axonometric here for Junior Cert is that you have your three lines, and the three lines, the X, Y and Z axes, define our three planes. And that is kind of as much as we need to know really, that the three lines define the three planes. And that there's the vertical plane, there's your horizontal plane, and there's your end vertical plane right there. And that from different viewing directions we can see different planes. So right there is our horizontal plane looking down from the top, and as we look down on the top of the view right here, when we look down the top view right here, we view down along the y-axis, and you can see that blue plane, the horizontal plane right there around the object, which is the ground. So you're seeing a 2D view of a 3D object, just like our usual orthographic projection that we've been doing since first year. What's really important to understand as well here is this, okay, so there's the end vertical plane there in red, and this time there is no end elevation required, so this end vertical plane won't actually really be in use as such, but it is here. It's this left wall there in red along the object. Also, when we look in and look down on top of that plan, well, the vertical plane there, if I just put it in a different color, this vertical plane right here, which defines the right wall, well, that appears as an edge view going down along here to the right. So as we look down on top of the plan at the y-axis, we're seeing this view of the object, and we're seeing the red in vertical as an edge view. We're seeing the green vertical as an edge view. Then when we look up at our elevation, looking in along the z-axis, there's the wall right there. So we're imagining ourselves, we're standing here. There's our left hand and our right hand. On our left hand side is the red wall. So up along this left hand side right here, turned at 15 degrees, is the red wall. Down along under the object is the blue floor. And then of course, define the plane any size you want, and that is going to be our green plane there in behind the object. There. So, here it is. That's the bit of understanding that we need to have, and then once we have that bit of understanding, the topic is easy. It's not a hard topic at all. The hardest part of working with it is working with the curved objects. So there we are. That's a little bit of background knowledge and background understanding that's required. We'll get started on our drawing. Now, I think it'll all fit in an A3 page, but it's going to be really, really tight. If you're doing this at home, get an A2 page, or ideally, turn your A3 page portrait. And if your page is turned portrait, it's a much better fit to the scale of this question and to the proportions, rather than trying to get it onto an A3 landscape. But my video camera is set up for landscape. I'm going to keep going with landscape. My starting point here in the center of the three axes is up from the bottom of my page 144. And in from the left hand side 160. So that's the center of my three axes right there. I'm going to draw in the Y, Z, the X, all at 30 degrees. I'm going to go down from the corner, look down along the Y-axis, and I have a measurement for that I'm hoping will work. 40, I'm going to keep this really light at the moment. I'm going to go 50 mil down. 50 mil down from the corner down to that point. Now I'm going to keep this really light for a minute just to make sure it works. It told us in the question to orientate the view at 45 degrees, so I'm going to do exactly what I'm told to. And before I go any further, I'm just going to test this and make sure that it's fitting on my page in case I need to move it a little bit. 60 mil down, and then a further 60 mil down. That has worked out quite well actually. And then 60 mil down here, and then back up from this point. So there's the plan of the object. Now that is just the full outline, but the full outline of course in this case doesn't actually exist. What we should need here is we need an octagon. So we need an octagon to fit into this square. So how do we do that? An octagon in a square has a very small simple little construction, and this is it. When you have your diagonals of the square drawn, open your compass from the corner into the center and scribe an arc, and repeat that process from all corners. And same here. Finally, in the top point. And those arcs that I've just scribed right there give me the points on the octagon. So I can take the end of one arc to the end of the other, and this should end up being a vertical line, and it is. And the same on this side, end of the arc to the end of the arc. Same on the base there, should line up perfectly horizontal with my T-square. And horizontal. I have my 45 degree edge along here. And my remaining two 45 degree edges here. And here. Now, there's the plan of the base of the object. I'm going to just, for clarity's sake there, I'm going to just heavy in those lines. And I'm going to give them the colours the very same as I did in the 3D. So I had the red in the vertical plane along here. I had my green vertical plane along here. The ground itself, or the horizontal, is in blue. There's the horizontal plane right there in blue. Here in green, I have an edge view of the vertical plane, VP. Over here in red, I have an edge view of the EVP, the end vertical plane. My three axes are X, Y, and Z. Now, also looking down the plan, there's a little bit more we can see. We can see that little center support, the center bar that goes through the object here, which is a 10mm square. So to draw that, I'm going to just down here in plan, I'm going to go off the center. I'm going to go 45 degrees each way. And I'm just going to measure 5mm up and down, and that gives me my total 10mm square. I take it onto the symmetry axis of the object there. And there we go. There's that center support bar of the object. The next thing I'm going to draw, there's two circles there, 30 and 50, and that's all that's missing, then and my plan will be finished. As far as I can see here, they're kind of assuming that the center support, I think, probably stops at that point. I suppose there's a wire support maybe out from there or something, but the fact that we can see the full center support and no hidden detail means that it's a hollow, truncated cone that they have dropped in there as a lampshade. Diameter 30, diameter 50. So diameter 30 is radius 15, diameter 50 is radius 25. Those two are marked in and drawn. Here's my 50. And there's my 30. Oh, that's that view finished. Nothing else to add in there now, except a little bit of colour around on the plane maybe, which will help with visualising what's happening as we move on to our next view. That's the floor as well. That goes right down to the ground and the corner is cut off it. So that's part of the ground or horizontal plane. Now, there we go. There's our object dropped in there, and all colour and annotation that's needed is dropped in as well. What I would like here, I think, is I'd like a little bit, but I'm going to keep it very, very light for now. That lampshade right there is part of a cone aiming up this way. I'm going to go very, very light in this. When I'm working with this later and all the constructions that are required, I don't want my shading to be getting in the way. So really light shade added in there. So maybe that'll help with understanding this later. The center support, I'm just going to drop it in there with maybe a light brown colour right here. And what remains, the only remaining section in maybe is just the base of the object here itself. And again, you're not going to use these colours and colouring in the exam question, but I think for practice questions and when you're just trying to really understand the topic and make sure you know everything about it, a little bit of colour is really handy here. It just helps so much with referencing between views and understanding what you're drawing. So there we go, there's the complete plan. Moving on to the elevation, we're going to project up in line with the Z-axis this time. So we are looking in along, we're standing in this position here, we're looking in along parallel to the Z-axis. We're picking our starting point, and again I've one measure there that I'd say hopefully will fit on the page fairly well, and we'll start off with our 75 and 15 degree lines here for the elevation. So view in line with the Z-axis. The position I have picked here is 52 mil. That everything should fit at that. 52 mil from the centre of the three axes up to the start of my elevation. And for setting up our 75 and 15 degrees, lay your 45 down first, lay your 30 on top, and then just go one way. Or, sorry, no, if I just show this once more, lay your 30 on top and go to the left or to the right. And to the left gives you the walls. And the vertical, what should be vertical turns out at 15 degrees going up this direction, and what should be horizontal turns at 15 degrees going this direction. Our heights, what's given? We have 10 mil for the base, we have a further 60, which is total 70, and then we have 40. Now there's a mistake here anyway, that's for sure. I'm going to reduce that 40. I'll see if I can fit 110 total height, but the maths is wrong there. 10 and 60 is 70, and 40, that doesn't work out. I'll just see what I can fit now. First of all, can I fit 100 or can I fit 110? And if we need to reduce this down a little bit to make sure it fits in the page, then that's okay. I can fit the 110, so what I'm going to use for this, I'm going to use the 10, 60 and 40, and that is a total height of 110, 110. So 10, 60 and 40, and I really don't like moving the set square every time, so what I'll do instead is this. I have a stand on my board, so I'm going to get caught. Total height there is 110. It's 10 mil up from the ground, then it's plus 60 is 70 mil up, and then finally it was 40 mil for the top. I don't like measuring 10 and then moving the set square, measuring 60 and then moving the set square. You build up what's called cumulative error, where your mistakes multiply. Basically, if you're a half mil off here and another half, you're off by 1 mil. A half mil is not a lot when you're marking points, but by the time you have 3 or 4 points marked, it all adds up. So we don't want to go adding up our cumulative errors like that. The next thing they're telling us is they're saying that it's a total width of 60 there, which is fine. I can measure and mark that in as 60. What I would like is I'd like a center line up through the whole object, so I'm going to mark it at 30 as well. Now I'm going to start off, I'm going to start putting in some detail here now. First thing I'm going to put in, I put in my center line up through the object, because I know that I have my radius to mark up top there as well. I'm going to finish the base here, and I'm actually going to go ahead and heavy in the base. So the bottom profile that's on the ground, and the next one up at 10 mil. So there's the base. What I could also put in now is I can put in this center support, which is 10 mil total. That 10 mil total can be broken into, just like I did below in the plan. I'm going to start there on the 100 mark and mark 5 mil left, 5 mil right, and keep that as accurate as you can. How far up does it go again? What way am I going this time? I'll always start off here and then drop. Well, it goes up to this mark, which was the 60. And then I'll go back this way again. There we go. That's the center stem of the object. Then I have my 50, which is 25 left and right, and I have my 30, which is 15 left and right. I'm going to draw in that top line first of all. And once again, I don't like giving myself any hope of building up errors, so what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to set the compass, and I had already left set there at the 30, which is from the center line, 15 left, 15 right. And I'm going to set my compass to the larger circle, which was 25 mil radius, and mark it from the center line, left and right. Now, there we go. What I have now is I have this. I have my curved, which is actually, it's a truncated cone is what we're dealing with there. It's a cut cone, so truncated cone right along here, and there it is, shaded in, going from my 50 on the base to my 30 up top. There we go. So we've our truncated cone here. We've our center support, which is our 10 by 10 square section, and we have our octagonal base. Now, the only thing that we're not seeing here is this couple of lines. They have an extra line in here and here. And what that is this, okay? As we look in at the octagonal base, we're seeing the front surface, and then we're seeing a portion of the two side surfaces. So where do we get them? We're looking back down to plan here. It's the only place to find them as a true size. There's a couple of ways. The first thing, but actually before I do, I'm going to do what I should have done a few minutes ago. I'm going to add in some extra colour here, which should help with the understanding of this. I'm going to just say, right, that line up along there is the red wall. It's the invertible plane. That line out along here is the ground. That is an edge view of the HP. The red wall edge view of EVP, in vertical plane right there. And of course that leaves us with the VP here. In a few minutes I'll pause the video and I'm going to shade in the VP, but before I do I'm going to get back and finish that point I was making. I want to find the two lines that come down here and here. The ones that differentiate between this slope surface, the flat surface to the front, and the slope to the right. So it slopes out, goes flat, and slopes back in. A couple of ways. I could, and this is a real way I think that we'd all understand, say from the red wall out to here, and mark it. Or my second option is this, which will be a little bit faster I think in this case. Draw your center line through the object and make the front surface of the object here symmetrical left and right. So it's symmetrical left and right. Either way, I just landed on the exact same point anyway, so whatever you find easier to understand. There we go. There's the front of that object. I'm going to pause the video for just a minute. I'm going to add in a little bit of colour here, and when we're back again we're going to start projecting up and seeing what this elevation looks like. There's a little bit of colour added there to the elevation and to the planes, just to, again, just every little helps when it comes to visualising questions like this. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to project up from the plan, down from the elevation. I'm going to start, even though my rule would always be start at the top and work down. Starting at the top this time is a little bit more difficult. So I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm going to break my own rules here. I'm going to start with the easier object, which is on the ground. Now, so starting on the ground, I'm going to do a little bit of numbering. Number 1 and 2 is the front surface. Number 3 is the point that touches the wall, and so is 4. Number 5 and 6 are touching the green wall, touching the vertical plane. Number 7 and 8 are out here at the right hand side. So 3 and 4 are touching the red wall, so that's point 3, 4 right there. Now I'm going to say that they are on the ground and they're up high, so 3 and 4 are below and above. 2 is the next one out, it's here. 1 is the next one out, here. And at the far right hand side I have 8 and 7. Behind 1 I have 6, and behind 2 I have 5. So that's my little bit of numbering that will help me here. 6 and 7, these octagons now when we do them in axonometric are a bit strange. Everything lines up, so 8 and 5 lines up, 6 and 7 lines up, 1 and 4 line up, and 2 and 3 line up. I'm going to project everything and then kind of look at it after and see where we're at and just see what lines up with what. And 3 and 4 on the corner. So first off, the easy ones I think, 7 and 8 are on the same point. They come down, we get 0.7 and we get 0.8. So I'll drop it in. That's the profile on the ground. 7 and 8 are also up high though. So if you're comfortable to do so, go ahead and drop that top point in. And we get one surface. We just get one surface there on 7 and 8. So that's one of the surfaces on the edge of this octagonal base, 7 and 8. I'm going to go ahead now to 1 and 2. So I've 1 brought down and 1 brought up into this common position, 2 brought down, 2 brought up into this position, and it should be a 30-degree line. There's 1, 2, of course that joins up across here. So I have now joined 7 to 8 to 1 to 2. There's 1, there's 2. I'll start building. Up above 1 is the next point 1, and up above 2. So up above point 1 is this point 1 up here, and up above 2 is this point 2 up here. Let's just see how accurate is it. Are we good there? We are pretty good there. Moving across to join up 8, and a couple of vertical lines there to define the rest of those vertical surfaces. So there we go. There's a good start to the base of this. So nothing complex just yet. Now the next part of this I think can often cause confusion, because you have to kind of realize what you can and can't see, and even though it looks wrong, it might not necessarily be wrong for these next surfaces. So we'll just see what I'm talking about now in a second. There's those guys added in. What I'm going to look for next is I'm going to look for, so I'm going to go back from 7 back to 6. I'm looking for 0.6 on the ground. Now it's touching the green wall, it's in the corner. So 0.6 on the ground has to be here, doesn't it? Right there on the ground. If I try to join 7 to 6 on the ground, well, it just ends up all in one straight line. I'm going to go 7 up top to 6 up top next. So from 7 up top is here. So that's 0.7 up at the top. There's 8 up at the top. 1 and 2. 6 up at the top is here. There we go. 6 to 7 up top. Now it just happens that, you know, 0.6 in the ground and all that, it all ends up as one single edge view of a face. 0.5 up top is next, and that lines up with this right here. 5 up top, and I'm not sure whether I can see that or not, so I'll just leave it in relatively light at the moment. 0.4 up top is next. So have I got that? No, not yet. I'll project that one on down now from elevation. All projected down at 30 degrees. There's 0.4 up at the top right there. 3 is there, and that's going to cause the same little issue as number 6, because it all seems to line up perfectly. So there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and there's 1 and 2. So there's the base of the object. I'm not going to add any more color because I just don't know what to color yet. I'm going to move on in now to the center. I'm going to find this square center support, the back edge, and the front edge of it. The single standing to the right, the one front and back, and the single standing to the left. Now, it's very hard to know how to explain these as such. Well, first of all, I suppose I could do something similar here to what I did. The edge that goes from 1 to 2, I could call that point 1 and 2 there, and that would be 1 and 2 here. If you see it, you see it though, which is really handy. You know, if you can visualize these, it's very, very handy for you. If I just get 2 pencils, so up along the central axis here, which gives me the front point at number 1, coming down from number 1 is there, and coming up from number 2 and down from number 2 here and here. So again, it just starts to come together nicely for me there. Working back the other direction then, I know that I'll be going back here to number 3, I'll call it, and that's the center support right there. Now I'm not going to draw the top of the center support because there's the lampshade to go in now. Okay, so that's going to overshadow a lot of this support. I know where it is right now. I can easily just bring those points down and draw it up to there after, you know. So there'll be no issue. Look, that line going up to there and so on. If I draw it in really, really lightly, just so that I I know that that's what I'm going to be coming back to after. That is the center support right there. Let's get on to our curves. The curves are the hardest part of this drawing, so we need to make sure that we kind of nail them down really. The curve is an edge view and an edge view. It's a circle here and a circle, and in here it's going to be a freehand curve. Our smaller curve up top and our larger one down the bottom. To draw the freehand curve, we need to break the curve up into multiple points. We're thinking and we're comparing this to the same principles that we did for our octagonal base. We're thinking of splitting it up in plan and taking distances maybe from the red edge view out through the object in the elevation. To break it up in plan is our first real task. And to break it up, I'm going to set, I have the angle, on my 45 I have the angle that the two walls are at. So what I'll do is this. I'll go ahead, and I'm going to really run into problems here, and I know I am with space, but we'll get through it. I'm going to break up my plan first of all, and I'm going to use, I don't want the colour to stand out too much. First of all, I'll use my 45 degree, which gives me, and I'm going to use two colours here now. Okay, orange off the outside, and maybe a blue or something off the inside. So two colours used there. The blue is breaking up the smaller circle and the orange breaking up the bigger one. So that's broken up one direction, and there's the second one. There. Next I'm going to go this way. Just so I run 30 degrees off my 45. And I get them two. And then 30 degrees the other way. I get them. And where do I go next with this? Okay, this is where my T-square is probably going to have to go. No, I'm okay. We'll break it this way for the small circle and for the big one. And what's my final direction now? There. Now T-square is definitely going to have to go on out. I'll use my sliding set squares. Slide on down. I'll get my blue line to break the inside one, and my orange lines to break the outside. Now we have to be able to recognize here what I just did, and I'm going to use the same set of I'm going to go numbering again. That's point 1 on this on the circle. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So I've broken up the large circle into 12 points, but I've also broken up the small circle into 12 points. And I'm just going to use the same numbers. If you want, you can use A, B, C around 1 and 1, 2, 3 around the other or something. I just prefer to use the very same numbers. What we'll see then is this, okay? As we look at the elevation, we're looking in here. We're seeing the green plane as a true shape, and we're seeing all of what's happening on the elevation taken up to the, on the plan taken up to the elevation. Bear in mind earlier on, I did this. I said that I was able to do this. Take the middle point of the view and take left and right out to number 1 and 2. What can I do that from the center of the drawing out to number 4 and out to number 10? So if we just look, 4 on the left, 10 on the right. Out to number 4 on the left, 10 on the right. So that is number 4. That is number 10. This top point is 1 and the back point is 7. So that's 1, 7. What's next? Next is extremely important. This is really, really important. 2 and 12 here, 3 and 11 are here. Okay. I can take the distance from the center, but I'll just move out a little bit along that line I just drew. To the left I have point 3 and to the right I have point 11. So to the left is 3, to the right is 11. So to the left I get point 3 and to the right I get point 11. 3, 11. Coming out one step further, and then on the center on that pencil line I just drew the joins number 2 and number 12. To the left I get number 2 and to the right I get number 12. 2, 12. What we'll also see, I could go ahead and join 6 and 8 and join 5 and 9, but I know that 2 and 6 are the same distance out from center. So it's 2, 6. What else lines up? 11 and 9. So it's 11, 9, 12 and 8. And 3 and 5. Now, without making the mistake, because we've gone way too far in the drawing to make simple little mistakes now, we're going to just project all of our points. Now, if you want to do them one at a time, if you want to do them all at the same time, I'm going to do them all at the same time. 8 and 9 will, I think they should line up with each other, and they do. So there's 8 and 9. And if you want to put 8, 9 up there on the top of the line, 10 and 7. 11 and 6. 12 and 5. 1 and 4. And finally 2 and 3. So that's it. Don't make the mistake when we move on to the next circle now of using the wrong labels, of course. But that's number 4. I'm not going to label these ones now. I'll just work with these ones and visualize them and see what's happening after. Now, this is not advisable unless you're kind of comfortable with the topic. If you're not comfortable with the topic or very confident with it, don't project everything at the same time. Do points one at a time. Now that everything is projected, this is what we do. So number 10 is the bottom line, and that goes on to number 10 here. So we're watching my labels above or below, whatever you want. 11 and 9 is the second line up. So that is 9, and where's 11 is here. The third line up is 12 and 8. 8 is there. 12 is there. Next line up is 1 and 7. 7, 1. Next line up is 2 and 6. 2, 6. 3 and 5. 3, 5. And finally 4. Now that is after working out pretty neat for me there, and I know now that if I join up the dots there and join all those, and I get a nice freehand curve, and that would be the top smaller curve. So if there's nothing above it, it has to be all solid. There won't be any hidden detail involved here on this profile. Wouldn't usually use a fine liner for that job, but it was the closest thing at hand. So that's the top profile done. As you can imagine, that's 12 lines down, 12 up, 24 projections. Now we have another 24 to do, so don't get confused with this. Try your best to really watch out for the detail here. Before I can project anything, I'm going to join across from 2 to 12. These lines I'm joining across right now are parallel to the green plane. And I'll join across from 3 to 11. And those distances right there I'm going to set on my compass. So the distance from the centre out, first of all, out to 4 on the left and 10 on the right. So if I just, 10 is there on the right, 4 is here on the left, 1 is right out in front of me, and 7 is at the back. And what distances have I next? I have from to the left is 3 and to the right is 11. So 11, 3, and bring it out to the next position. To the left is 2 and to the right is 12. So out to the left is number 2 and to the right 12. What lines up with what? 3 and 5, 3, 5, 2 and 6, 1 and 7, 12 and 8, 11 and 9, and 10 and its own out there. This time you're going to have a bit of fun because there's so many projections here. I'm going to try and do just 2 at a time this time. So before I do, actually, I'm going to bring everything down from the elevation because they're under the last set. Starting with number 4, and I'm going to just put a label out here. 4, 3, 5, 2, 6, 1, 7, what's that? 12, 8, and that is 11, 9, and finally 10. So at least one set of lines is labelled. Now I can project up, and I'm going to find them straight away. So that is what, 8 and 9. That's number 10, that's number 9 is here, 8 is here. Next, I'm keeping my fine liner handy here. Number 10 projects up to there. Number 11 projects up to there. What you'll see as well is I've stopped taking the back points because I know now that as long as I get that far, that's the edge of the lampshade. So I've stopped taking those points. I know I've already made a mistake here. So hard to follow these points accurately. I just took this up onto the wrong one, which should be one further. It's the great thing about fine liners. There's a permanent horrible mark there on my page now. So pencils are the way forward, I think. Anyway, I should number, I suppose, as I go. There's number 8, 9, 10, 11, number 12, number 1, and 2 and 3 both line up. 2 and 3. That's all I need. I'm going to bring the set square in and up against both curves and get the extreme left of the lampshade and right. And then going to go ahead and draw in this center stem as far as it goes, and the heavy detail along the base here. And it's like a relief to get all that done with all those projections and all those points. I'm going to, the last thing I might do is there, I might just pause the video and go ahead. I'm going to outline where my planes are, and again the planes can be any size you want them to be. Really, they're big enough to accommodate the object. That's the main thing. I'm going to add some shading in to my planes. What I could do as well, just again, it's all about just, I think it's all about the understanding here and seeing the question for what it is. It's a selection of two-dimensional views and then a 3D there sitting in the corner of the room as is shown. And there we go, there's the object. So I'm going to pause for a couple of minutes. I'm going to add in the last little bit of colour, and then that'll be this drawing finished. And there we go, there's the finished drawing. So as I said there earlier on, a lot of projections and a lot of detail in this drawing. There's a fair bit of understanding involved here in the split up of the curve correctly. The part that can often go wrong here is just the very first breaking up line. Someone will, and a lot of people will, just bring their set squares straight in and start working off of their horizontal t-square, not thinking that everything in plan is based on my 45. So everything needs to be broken up based on my 45. After that, it's the transfer of those distances, whether they're out from the red wall out to point 4, out to 3, out to 2, out to 1, whether it's out from the wall out to the points, or if it's symmetrically off the center line left and right to the points. Either way you go, you have to understand how the distances are applied. And the final thing then, of course, is just, it's really, once all the hard work is done really, and you have broken up everything and numbered and indexed your views, it's just not making that mistake when we start bringing in so many construction lines. These type of mistakes that I had made and just realised I had. So sometimes it helps to just sit back and have a look at the drawing before you start heavying in all of your curves. But anyway, that's the drawing finished. I hope this helps now. That's one of the more difficult ones, I suppose, that might have come up there for junior cert higher level. I hope this helps. Thanks very much for watching.